Well, Nick, Dalghar, being owned by Nevin Boddicker, he bought it from the Aga Khan. Can you tell us a little bit about that purchase?
Yeah, it was really interesting. Nevin, who's based in Perth in Western Australia, does have some horses in Europe, and it was involved over there, was friends with some of the people who were associated with the Aga Khan. The Aga Khan, already having raced Dalghar's two half-brothers, he didn't fit into his breeding program, so he became available. And I think a little bit in the right place at the right time. Nevin was totally enthusiastic about getting his hands on him and managed to negotiate the sale and took over ownership of him.
How did he end up here?
Again, a longer story. Nevin had arranged for him to stand at stud in France, which he did last season, but his first season there. Nevin's had a great association with New Zealand thoroughbreds, and I think, fortunately for all of us, like a lot of the people around the world now, they identify New Zealand as a great place to stand stallions from the point of view of the opportunity they're going to get. And as I say, being a fan of the New Zealand thoroughbred and racing them in Australia, he always felt that New Zealand would be the place to bring the horse. And it was actually through John Chalmers, a bloodstock agent in Western Australia, he contacted us to see if we were interested, and then it grew from there, and we're delighted to have him in the box behind us.
Dalghar had his first season at stud in the Northern Hemisphere just recently. What were the reports?
Reports were really good. He bred a buck just on 60 mares up there. The first 5 mares he bred all went in foal, which is pretty important in what we do. So that was terrific, and he settled really well in from being the racehorse to being the stallion. And of course, I mean, it's less than 12 months ago the horse was actually racing. So to have done that and quarantined well and come down here, I think he looks terrific, and he's letting down to a beautiful stallion.
So has he settled in nicely here at Brighthill Farm?
Settled in really well. Temperament's something that's really important to us. We've been very fortunate. All the stallions we've had have great temperaments. They leave that in their stock. I think nowadays, with the pressure on trainers to get horses up and get them moving quicker, they haven't got the amount of time they used to with horses with temperament issues. So it's something the temperament side, we've put it up on the higher in the ranks of our selection of stallions now, and as you can see, he's got a terrific temperament.
What's appealing about him for a breeder?
Well, I think that the first thing that just absolutely up front hits you is his pedigree. It's a phenomenal pedigree. We try and focus, Simon, on stallions that are a little bit outside the square, something a little bit different, and as a smaller farm that gives us the opportunity to compete with the big guys. Being a son of Annabau is a huge plus. He's been a great stallion in the Southern Hemisphere and in the Northern Hemisphere, very successful in Australia and New Zealand, so that was a great appeal. There isn't another son of Annabau here, so that was a start. But then we look at his dam side. Being out of him is Walkie Mare, who's already left 2 outstanding champion racehorses who are now at stud in Dalami and Dalakani. That pedigree was huge appeal. And then looked at his race record. He's a horse that was capable of running 1:17.4, which is a phenomenal time that very few racehorses anywhere in the world can achieve. He was really probably a complete package for us.
Being French bred, how do you think he'll marry up with our New Zealand mares?
Very well, very well. In fact, he's been an interesting one as we've announced him. We've had a lot of interest, and we do a lot of breeding programs for people. And the more you look at his pedigree, the better he ties up. He's got some very interesting bloodlines. Of course, he's got a lot of international bloodlines there, but the Annabau side is really good. He's got a line of Mr. Prospector, which is huge. And then, as I say, we go with some of that milled reef that will tie in with them beautifully. There's a lot of bloodlines that work very well with him in this end of the world.
Physically, what's impressive about him?
He's just an imposing horse. I think, you know, when you look at him, he comes out, he fills the eye. Got a very good, strong stallion's head about him. He's got that dominant colour, which is important in this family. Dalakani and Dalami are greys. He's a grey, and he's got a beautiful athletic walk. So physically, I think he'll suit a vast majority of New Zealand mares as well.
Early interest from New Zealand breeders?
Yeah, very much so. Interest is very high. We feel as though we've priced him very sharp at 6k, and he'll stay at that fee for his first 3 years, which is something we do on the farm. The interest level is very good. We've got mares the likes of Machiavelli Miss, who was a Thornton Group 1 mile winner. We've got the Dama Past the Post, who's a Group 1 winner, booked in, just to name a few. Country Rose. We've had a great response, so he'll breed a very good, strong book of mares this year.
We know that times aren't easy in New Zealand at the moment. What sort of a book would you be happy with? How many mares?
I think with the interest level he's there, he'll get between his 80 and 100 mares. As I say, his price is very good value, and as I say, it's something we've done as a farm. Each stallion for the last 4 or 5 stallions that we've had, people have the confidence to know we're not going to change the fee around. They're going to stay the same for the first 3 years, and that they're very good value in their first year. And I think a horse like this that they look at that can have appeal overseas, I think particularly the Annabau side in Australia, I think they look at a horse like that value. So we can aim quite high with this horse, and I think, as I say, the 80 to the 100 should be about where we'll get with him.